على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الخلق والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. On the birthday of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, Ajalallah farajahu, it's good to mention a few things. The mention of Imam Mahdi alayhi salam is considered a revival of the order of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. It's a reminder of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once we mention Imam Mahdi, that's a reminder, and then remind us of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, alaykum salam, which result in the forgiveness of sins and exchange of bad deeds with good deeds. It also contributes to obtaining his intercession, strengthening for the faith, protecting against fitna at the end of time, which is known that it would happen. Longing to serve him and praying for his appearance, which will fill the earth with justice. It's important. The reason it's important to always, in a lot of our dua, we always say, Allahumma, thabbitni ala dinik, because all the narration, all the hadith talks about how toward the end of time, people would change. Even the followers of that, who would think they are followers of Imam alayhi salam, even Shia would switch or will go astray, will go different direction. Fitna, people get confused maybe. There's a lot that would take place toward the end of time. They're saying that people would change. People will go the other direction, even though they've been waiting all their life for the reappearance of Imam alayhi salam. These things this will include the importance of mentioning of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam. There's a few things. There's just the following points. The revival of the order of Ahlul Bayt. It's definite a revival of the order of Ahlul Bayt. The mention of Imam al-Mahdi alayhi salam is an extension of the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and leads to the forgiveness of sins. Another is the doctrine and educational. When we learn about Imam Mahdi, when we learn all about the Imam, especially Imam Mahdi, that's our Imam. That's the one that's in charge of everything now in our time. But because he's not around, because we don't see him, we don't know where he's at, a lot of people just shove it up, like we just make dua, Allahumma ajil li walika al-faraj, and we'll move on. But it's important to know more about him and know and think that he's aware, he's around, he's aware of all of our action. The doctrine and educational, the mention of the Imam consolidates the faith, and it reminds the ruling and the standing with the truth against falsehood, which we see a lot of falsehood these days. You see a lot of ego, a lot of violence and butchering of people, taking the right of people. What was always, the West always mentioned, human rights. Now you see there's no such thing. When it comes to their benefit, there's no such thing as human right. It's what they want. So we see a lot of that these days. Is it the end of the time? Nobody really knows. Is it the close to the end of the time? Allah will only know. But it's definitely toward the end. You could see that in so many countries. They bow down, really, just straight away. Why? For the force, for the powerful, for the one that is powerful. And include, unfortunately, most of the Islamic countries and governments. It just goes the other way. Why? Just for their fear of not being in their, authoritarian, not being in governing. They're afraid to lose that power. And that is something that when we make dua, always we say that may Allah keep us steadfast with our religion, with our faith, with our aqeedah. The prevention and survival, supplication, dua and remembrance saves us from temptation of the end of time and provoke the anger of Satan. When we make dua, all of our Imam tell us, all the narration, it upsets shaitan, it upsets Iblis. Satan will be upset when we do all of that. When you do sujood, Satan's always upset. It's the one thing that he hates, that Satan hates the most, is when we do sujood. The obtaining of the intercession of the Imam. His mention, alayhi salam, is considered a reason for his intercession on the Day of Judgment. Mentioning, not just saying, oh, there's Imam Mahdi, mentioning meaning know more about him. Make dua for him all the time. Remember him all the time. You know, we have dua and nudba. It's important dua and nudba on every Friday after Fajr prayer. And it's also said that every Eid also, like 15 of Sha'ban is very important. The middle of Sha'ban, it's very important to do dua and nudba. On Al-Eid also to do dua and nudba. These are all important. There's also dua al-ahd. You can do dua al-ahd anytime. It takes a few minutes as well. Those one of the things when we're saying mention of the Imam or remembering the Imam, that's what they mean by it. Linking to preparation, longing to serve, alaikum salam, longing to serve the Imam and his victory is consolidated, and the inspiration develops for that day of the emergence of justice. That's the day everybody's looking forward to. It's the day that everybody's wishing. Anytime there's hardship, especially these days, Islam in general is facing major attack on Islam in general, but specifically on Shia. Specifically the Shia, they're being attacked everywhere in every possible way. And especially they're going in education, social media, all of that. If you see yesterday Netanyahu was at a press conference and he spoke and he said, our next battle is not on the field, it's on social media. Social media doesn't mean he's going to come up on social media and say they're right. No, they're going to hit us with every lesson, with everything we have. You know, you might search hadith, but you got to make sure you got to search that hadith if it's decent, you know, like a trusted hadith or not, because they're going to be attacking us in that way. Just like they tried during the Imam. After Imam Hussein alayhi salam shahada, they tried. Bani Umayyah, Al-Abbasis, Al-Mamalik, they all tried to sway things. Thank God we got some of the narration, not everything. Remember, there's a lot that we didn't get because they were all subjugated. They will be killed. Anybody that would say any hadith will be killed at that time. And now we're hitting social media. It's very easy. It's very easy for our kids to be misguided. Because if we just leave them to the tablet and to the phone to get their information, if we're not teaching them that, then they'll get it the way, they'll get the narrative based on what they want them to get it, how they want them to get it. You know, then really sin would become like, I'm not doing anything wrong. You know, doing stuff, then they'll become like, it's not a big deal. That's how they teach them. Like if you look here in this country, as we know, we're around people from work, around friends, around neighbor or so. You see, religion is not so important to them. Why? The narrative is that way. They're being directed in that direction that religion is not so important, that's just you. If you want to, if you don't want to, it's up to you. There's no focus on it. You see people get lost easily. So it's important, we don't want our kids to be lost in that because there is no direction. So it's on us. Just remember, if our kids are lost because we don't give them direction, if you tried and you did what you had to do, and your kids go the wrong way, or your grandkids or friends or relatives go the wrong way, then you're not at fault. Walaikum salam, you're not at fault. But if you did everything you can, but if you don't do anything about it, and they're not following the religion, then because some will actually switch religion. I know people who are born Muslim, they're born into Muslim family, they're born to Shia family, their kids are not. They married someone that's not religious. This kid, his parent never, I know one person, his parent never ever talking about religion. They made it sound in a way like religion is something old school that is bad for you. It's not good to follow. This guy ended up his kids will go to church. Who's to blame? The parents. They didn't direct him. Parents didn't show him. This is what here we're talking about. The mention of the imams. The remembrance of the imam is to follow these things and focus on it. Let our kids know who the imams are, their birthday, their shahada, know what they've done, know some of their history of what's been done with them. This is what we mean by remembrance. It's the teaching of everybody else, teaching ourselves and teaching our families as well. And very important also for the preservation from misguidance. And this is what would happen toward the end. There's a lot of people going to be misguided. Knowledge and permanent remembrance of the imam at all time, protects from deviation and prevents the invalidity of work. It's so important to do that, because then, as long as one of us have those things, then hopefully we'll stay steadfast at the religion, at the faith, at the aqeedah that we have. These are all things that we must follow as followers of the Imam. Imam Baqir alayhi salam said, he said that the ruling is in our youngest and the most beautiful mention, Imam Mahdi, and God inherits him with knowledge and does not entrust it to himself. It's entrusting of the Imam. Imam would have all that knowledge. He said all the knowledge of the book, all the knowledge of the Sunnah, it's in the heart of our Mahdi. All that knowledge, everything is in him. To know him is to know justice. To know him is to know the truth. He will guide us. He will set us to what is truth and what is not at that time when these things happen. But then here it goes on. It talks about how the Ghaib as-Sura, the temporary, when he disappeared temporarily. It talks about how he had his messengers. You all know about his messengers, his aid that were out there at the time. They used to get all the matters of Muslim and bring it to Imam, and he tells them what to do. He tells them what to do. They bring it back to the community. They bring back all the rulings of the Imam to the community while he was in that hiding. And then all those stuff has been written down, it's been embedded, it's been engraved in our books, in our narration, all from the Imam. And that's how our mujtahid, our marja'iyah rely on these things, rely on all the hadith, all the sunnah, the Quran, and rely on how the Imam guided them at that time when he had that temporary disappearance. He guided them, they put all that. Al-Majlisi wrote a lot of those things. That's how Maraja, they go back with that. And then they learn from it, and they rule on things based on that. So it's time, don't forget, on the 15th, the night of 15 is very important. The day of 15 is very important as well, to make dua, especially, and don't forget, Al-Munajat al-Sha'baniyya, this is Sha'ban, is very important. Inshallah, we'll talk about that in the next khutbah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. For anybody that don't like to use their phone for the Munajat al-Sha'baniyya, I printed a few. If you want it, you're welcome to have them right here. Again, Arabic, English, and transliteration as well. We have many famous dua that we do, especially in Sha'ban. We have some dua that you do in the middle of the day, when the sun is in the middle of the day, at noon, and then Munajat al-Sha'biyya. All of the Imam used to read and recite Munajat al-Sha'baniyya, all of them. It was written by Imam Ali alayhi salam, That's the originator of it, and then went down with all the imams. But all imam were constantly repeating and doing munajat Sha'baniyya and any other time, but especially in Sha'ban. The Mirza Tabrizi, rahmatullah alayhi, he said many of our alim use it. Our marja, our alim, they all use it till this day. That they constantly focus on it. It's so important, this munajat Sha'baniyya, for the wordings of it and for the meaning. That many of alim use it, read it, especially in Sha'ban. He says sometimes it's so important. He says, وَفِيهِ عُلُومُ وَمَعَارِفِ جَمَّةٍ. He used this term in Arabic, that this munajat, it has certain knowledge and certain knowing. It's so vast that we can't even comprehend. We can't even translate, no matter whether you read in Arabic or English. All the depth of the meaning of the munajat Sha'biyya, it has so much knowledge and known in it that we cannot understand all of it. We cannot comprehend all of it. Remember, this is Imam Ali put it together. So no matter how much we learn, we can learn about it, but we're not going to get to that depth. It's so important. And he described some of those things, and then he focused on like one part of it. He said all of our maraja, they focus on it. What's important, munajat Sha'baniyya, as any dua we do, but this part of the dua itself, that always Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, and it ends with Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad as well. And then, for us, we always, anytime you want to make dua, we have to make salat ala Muhammad. But this dua itself, it starts with salat ala Muhammad and it ends with it. And in between all of that, there is about 40 times when in the dua we say Ilahi, Ilahi. About 40 times of that. And mention this part. It said Ilahi habni kamal al-inqita'i ilayk. Habni kamal al-inqita'i ilayk. It's such a beautiful thing when you're reciting it. Ilahi habni kamal al-inqita'i ilayk. And my Lord, please grant me the absolute devotion to you. Absolute devotion. You could say, make me, devoted to you, make me just think of nothing but you and all that. But specifically here, the way in Arabic, kamal, absolutely like top, complete, everything. This is Imam Ali saying, give me that, grant me that, complete of that. How many of us, we all pray. While we're praying so many times, we're thinking about other stuff. If we're making dua, maybe the first 1 or 2 or 3 times, you can focus on the wording because the first time you read it. But once you read it all the time, like Dua Kumail, for example, I'm sure a lot of us would read it and then be thinking of other stuff sometimes. Here Imam is saying, Lahi habli kamal al-inqita'i ilayk, complete devotion. Seems like this section of the dua has a higher rank of the rest of the dua. Because it says, here alim was talking, he said, most of our alim, most of our sheikh, most of our sayyid, they make even this section as a dua by itself. Outside of Sha'baniyya, munajat Sha'baniyya, they focus on this part. It's so important. They remember and they're constantly repeating this section. When someone, you go to school and you graduate high school and you want higher education, you want something better, you go to college, you go to university and you want higher education. You go to work, you want to get a better position, you start on position, you want to become manager, you want to become a CEO of a company. You're always looking at a higher place, a higher rank, something better in life. You want to improve your life, something better. Here dua is saying with all the dua, with all the prayer that we do, saying, Allah, please grant me that complete devotion. There's nothing higher than that. Here he was talking about that there's nothing higher grade than this, higher rank than this one. It's so up there that when you're asking Allah to make me not think of anything but you in this dua, but just thinking about what I'm asking you in that dua. It's in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, وَاتَّبِعُوا مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكُمْ. This is one thing. But there's other places it said, وَاتَّبِعُوا أَحْسَنَ مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكُمْ. There's one spot, follow what's better, what's best for you. Follow what has been brought down to you. Another spot said, follow the best of what's been brought down to you. Even Allah divided that. There's good, there's better, there's best, there's the best. So even when the Quran, there's a place it says, follow what's best. أحسن ما أنزل إليكم. Also it says, وَإِذَا حَيِّيتُمْ حَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنَ مِنْهَا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. If someone greeted you, it said greet them back better than what they greeted you, or at least the same way. We all know this one, like for example, Assalamu alaikum, a lot of us will say alaikum assalam. You want better place, you gotta say alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. You want even better than that, you gotta reply by alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. We learn to cut it short, but all has better place. In the Quran, Allah saying either greet back, when someone greets you, either you greet them back better than what they greeted you, or at least do the same one, reply with the same way. So someone says Assalamu alaikum, we could. This is an example of how you get in different rank, you get a little bit better places. And same thing in dua and in prayer, you get in better places. So we want to try and just get the best. Even in the Quran it's mentioned in a few places, there's good, there's better, there's best, there's absolutely the best. So وَإِذَا حَيِّيتُمْ حَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنِ مِنْهَا. Ilahi, the part of the dua, it said, Ilahi habli kamal al-inqita'i ilayk. My Lord, please grant me the absolute devotion to you. The next line it said, وَأَنِرْ أَبْصَارَ قُلُوبِنَا بِضِيَاءِ نَظَرِهَا إِلَيْكَ. And illuminate the vision of our heart by the light of their grace looking toward you. We all have eyes we can see, but in Arabic it said, grant me بِأَبْصَارِ قُلُوبِنَا, the vision of our heart. We know in our eyes we can look, but the vision of our heart is something that Allah will grant us, that we could see, we could feel, we could tell this is better than that. That's what he's talking about. But even with that, the alim, I think Al-Majlisi said, no matter how much we look into the meaning of that small part, we could never grasp the full meaning of it. Absari qulubina. How do we see through our heart? How do we see with our heart? This is what dua is saying. Like we're saying, like if you have a, if you have a kid, if you have a relative, if you have a friend, you say, may Allah open your, in Arabic we say, may Allah open his heart. Meaning Allah open his heart in a visionary kind of way. Let him see what's good and what's not good. This is part of the dua. And then it said, with a vision, illuminate the vision of our heart. And then the next line it said, حَتَّى تَخْرُقَ أَبْصَارَ الْقُلُوبِ حُجُبَ النُّورِ, until the vision of our heart pierce the curtains of light. Go and translate that. How many of things could come up in your mind to just think of that? This part of the dua. فَتَصِلْ إِلَى مَعْدَنِ الْعَظَمَةِ, to reach the core of supremacy. وَتَصِيرُ أَرْوَاحُنَا مُعَلَّقَةً بِعِزِّ قُدْسِكَ, and that our soul becomes suspended by the majesty of your holiness. This little part of the dua, just this section, is so vast, so deep in meaning. It's so beautiful in Sha'ban to keep doing Munajat Sha'baniyah, but we can do it in any other time, but usually a lot of us will just focus on it in Sha'ban because it's called Munajat Sha'baniyah. Also the Imam, they always say that don't forget Dua al-Ghariq, the drowning person. It's a very short, it takes I think 2 minutes really. They say it's such a good thing because they said how one was asking one of the Imam how we make that dua, how we do that dua during when the Imam is absent, like Imam Mahdi these days. And how do we do it? He goes, where are you from Dua al-Ghariq, the drowning person dua? You have that. And then if you read that, the meaning is so beautiful, and it really takes 2 minutes. Really, you can do it all the time. So this is we're in Sha'ban. We only have I think 2 weeks, maybe 2 weeks and a day or something left. I hope whatever we haven't been able to do so far in Sha'ban, we can do it in the next couple of weeks, because we won't get that opportunity until next year. Our alims, they wait for Sha'ban so they can dedicate and devote themselves for that day. They dedicate themselves for those dua in this month. So let's try, hopefully we can benefit, all of us, from it, and then gather as much good deed as we can, because like I said, they won't come back until next year. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ashir. These are here.